Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Hearthstone. So, not sure what happened. I had already started making this video, and I had just went through the deck list and queued for a game, and the recording stopped. So I'm going to kind of try to condense down what I said before and go through the deck list again. So so after the Mech-aladin video and all the nostalgia and whatnot with that, I started to think back and remembered I had a few mech-themed decks that weren't too bad at the time. So I thought it might be fun to kind of recreate those and play on Wild, which I don't normally do. Normally I play on Standard. And just kind of mess around, get kind of in the mood for the new expansion since mechs are going to be making somewhat of a comeback. Can't say they really went away, they just hadn't really been making any cards that were of the mech theme. So, Paladins, I remade my Mech-aladin deck, which I'll be honest, I had a couple different Mech-aladin decks, and I don't remember this one very well. I think this was like one of the first ones I made. I didn't really play Paladin too much early on. Not until they came out with like Muster for Battle and the whole kind of Paladin token theme came into being. That was something I could kind of cling on to, something I was able to it's an idea I was able to kind of rework and whatnot. Even today, most of my Paladin decks kind of have a token theme in them. I digress. So Paladins actually had one of the best mechs in Shielded Minibot. This was just an all-around decent card. And it could synergize with a few different Paladin, I guess, archetypes. Obviously, it was a mech. It worked with Divine Shield. It worked with Muster for Battle decks. Just a 2/2 for 2 with the Divine Shield is just a decent opening play all the way around. So just going down the list, like I said, kind of abbreviating what I said before. 2 Blessing of Might, 1 mana that gives 3 attack, not bad. This does have somewhat of a buff theme to it, I was noticing as I was recreating it. Blessing of Wisdom, I'm thinking I put this in here just to kind of play around with it. It's a really good card that it's a really good card that I don't know if people realize can go on either your or your opponent's minions. A 1-cost card that can potentially draw you endless cards is quite good, actually, when you think about it. I don't know that people really appreciate the draw a card, cards that give you another card, I should say. Yeah. 2-handed protection, both to replace Divine Shields that are lost off of a Noyatron, Shielded Minibot, what have you. Also to shield things like Micro Machines. Got a couple bigger things as we get into this. So yeah, very rare that it's bad to have a Divine Shield, not unless you want something to die for a battle cry or something. Noble Sacrifice. Aside from being good to help protect the Divine Shield from getting popped, or just little minions like Micro Machine, I find this is good. I usually run this in most Paladin decks, and I find this is good either early game when you only have maybe one minion each, or late game when you have one kind of big minion you're trying to keep on the field. It doesn't really work mid game when you each may have a couple things, because it's really easy to counter. You can just run something in, kill it. It only does 2 damage. It kills the defender off, and yeah. To Anoyatron, admittedly, this isn't as good of a card as it was in the Shaman deck. I don't have anything that specifically buffs mechs in this deck. Still, a 1/2 for 2 that has Taunt and Divine Shield is not terrible. This was one of the commonly used mechs in and out of mech decks, just because it may be the most honest card in card name in this game. It was annoying. And it was annoying because you had to pop the Divine Shield. Doing 1 damage to break the shield really isn't terrible when you think about it. It was just the fact that you had to usually run 2 things in to kill it, or waste a spell or something like that. You had to go through extra effort to get rid of it. 2 Mech Warpers, I generally didn't run these because they tended to die rather quickly, as the whole mech archetype theme, however you want to say it, gained prominence. If you saw a mech mage throw one of these down, it was almost concede right from the get-go. That's how the kind of reputation these had, and that's how good the decks were. Your mechs cost one less doesn't sound like a lot, and you could play a successful mech deck without this. It wasn't like you were reliant on this for any reason. Yeah, 2/3 for 2/3 for 2 is not terrible, in my opinion. It's not great, but it's not terrible. 1 Micro Machine, just because it can be really good, but it can also die really easy. So, just 1. 2 Shielded Minibots, as we said. 1 Cog Hammer. Give a random friendly minion Divine Shield and Taunt. So this is really good if you coin out like Shielded Minibot turn 1. You run it in, it pops its shield on turn 2. You can throw this down. Not only do you have replaced its Divine Shield, now it has a Taunt. So now it's a better version of Anoyatron, so to speak. And a 2/3 for 3 is not a terrible stat line for a weapon. Potentially, you're going to be taking damage anytime you have a weapon. You're going to be taking damage. So giving something Taunt kind of helps slow down, kind of mitigates the damage a little bit, but give you a little more control over things. Arcane Nullifier, just an all-around good card in my opinion. Really hard to get off the board because of the effect, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. Not a 2/5 is not a great stat line. However, the effect I think makes up for it. It usually takes some effort to get this off the board. So, Blessing of Kings, just for, as I said, just for a little bit of buff. Consecration, of course. Hammer of Wrath, both for damage and card draw. Both equally as good. 4 manas, decently statted, or decently balanced, I would say. I go back and forth. I go back and forth. This card kind of has been great and then has been less so depending on what the meta has been. Jeeves, I put this in here mostly just to play around with it, as I remember. And yeah, it doesn't really work all that well. But for the sake of recreating the deck as much as possible, I threw it back in. Just because it's kind of hard to, as I remember, you didn't really end up with less than 3 cards. It was really hard to get your hand down to make this worthwhile. And not having anything that really buffs Max specifically, you kind of have to use a buff card. It just wasn't a great card in this deck. 1 piloted Shredder, 1 piloted Sky Golem, and Sneasel Shredder. So just one of the Shredders. One of each of the Shredders. Anti-Killbot, which is at the time was a better heal than any of the Paladin heals. Their Holy Light only heals for 6. So yeah. And running 2 of these, you have, that's 14. No, 16. That's 16 health, so that's over your, just over your half your health. 1 over half your health. Dr. Boom, just for a little bit of extra damage. I find with Consecration that if you can put something else in that does a little bit of AoE damage, it helps. This is a good card because it does damage to all enemy minions or enemies, all enemy characters. I have used this at times to get lethal, to get around a taunt or some such. 2 damage is not going to generally clear the board unless you're up against like a Murloc deck or something. So Dr. Boom does a little bit of damage, a little bit of random AoE damage. So at one time was the most played, one of the most played, if not the most played card in the game. So yeah. So there you go. That is my Mech-aladin deck. So let's see what happens. Not been having a great deal of luck in Wild. Been running into net decks, which has been kind of disappointing. I'm in Wild, and as I said, don't normally play Wild, so I am the lowest rank you can be, and I'm still running into net. Little frustrating. Leadrin versus Gul'dan. If we run into net decks, I'll switch over to casual. I'm thinking just to kind of mess around a little bit. Okay, so this is a good opening hand. We have some options here. Depending on what he does, I'm thinking maybe Mech Warper. Oh yeah, we've got 2 of these. Yeah, Mech Warper.
Happy fun.
So we'll play this, and we'll put a Hand of Protection on him. Being Wild, he could have something that he could have Dark Bomb or something great, and he had nothing. So, or actually, this might be better.
Portals online. Magic detected. Engage. Shields off. Red alert. Job's done.
That seems better. I did run my hand down. After I just said it was hard to get down past 3 cards, like first turn I get down past 3 cards. So, and he's not going to get down. So this is really good. Yeah, we're gonna. Oh yeah, we're going to. What are we going to do? Do that, and then do that. Let's go ahead and kill that all.
Weapons ready. Locked on.
Let me get back.
Cool. Okay. Well, this is going well. I am concerned of what he has in his hand, but this is going well. I have learned that I used to think if at the beginning of the game they have a large hand like this, even with him being a warlock, if they have a large hand like this and they don't play anything, I used to think, oh, they just got, a bad hand and they're just not getting the cards they need. However, I have learned that this could be like really bad mid to late game because they have something big in their hand. So I am more cautious now. And
Weapons ready.
with that.
Locked on.
Unfortunately,
Yes,
Jeeves isn't going to draw me anything, so. I'm thinking about. Okay. Well, never mind then.
Shields off. Red alert.
You're dead, dude. I hope you realize that. I am so. Do I want to do this? Yes, I do, but I'm not going to attack with him because I will draw a card if I do that. So. And I want Jeeves to draw me 2 cards.
Let me get back.
Because that is the limit. Okay. So what are we going to put Blessing of Kings on? What would be the best value with that? I can turn my Shielded Minibot into a 6/6. That seems like a decent idea. Well, okay. I do feel a little bit bad because he really didn't play anything, and I don't know why. I don't know what that was. He's probably thinking, oh, you had a net deck. No, I didn't. Not that I'm aware of. This was just some random thing I threw together. To Warlock net decks that I'm not going to worry about that too much. Warlocks and hunters, if I get a chance to beat them in a game like that's a little bit lopsided, I feel like it balances out. I've lost enough games to them that Come on.
Liadrin versus Garrosh.
Victory or death!
My blade burns with holy fire.
Okay. We'll keep one, send those back. Well, Dr. Boom, this early's not great. Okay, let's go. Come on. You only have 3 cards. Come on. Are you really going to AFK? Apparently so. You know, I've heard a majority of people that play this, or I shouldn't say majority, a high percent of people that play this play on mobile devices. So, like when they're in the bathroom or something like that. So I always kind of wonder when people queue and then they go AFK, like what happened? You know, what's kind of strange about this is I do believe the boom bots are mechs. I've been seeing people, you know, theory craft their own like mech version of Dr. Boom now. Since we're getting another expansion, it's more mech. I'm trying to say mech, scientific themed. Well, greetings. Now I'm going to throw down Paladin Shredder, and he's going to be just that much further behind. Dude, your turn has ended.
To battle.
I want to try to... yeah. Okay. I think he figured out he kind of had to play something. Like I was saying, this is why this is good early game. Always love when that triggers when somebody has a weapon or is attacking with their character. Just somehow seems more satisfying. Okay. Normally I wouldn't do this, but I just want to try to really widen that quite in the lead I have, so
To battle! Job's done.
definitely gonna play Piloted Shredder next turn. Don't AFK for like the first 3 turns and expect to jump back in. That's not how this works. He played a King's Defender, which makes me wonder if he had a taunt. I was gonna say if he had a taunt, or if he just didn't draw his taunt, or we're not entirely sure what we're doing here. I do feel kind of bad because I think a lot of maybe some new players are starting out on Wild, and then a lot of a lot of people with more constructed decks are coming from. Oh, nice! Are coming from. Are coming from Standard to kind of get away from that. So there is no good way to start playing in ranked play other than just to play and just learn as you go, really. I should have killed that.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
Potentially. Yeah, I should have killed that. I was going to, and I didn't, and now I'm regretting it. So, but that's fine, because we're going to run this in. And yeah, and those were mechs. So how about that? What you got? Well, I have lethal if he doesn't do something. So okay.
An error.
Sure. Unless he's just kind of realized he has no chance of winning. You know, I would have killed off the 5/4.
Well played.
Okay, I mean, if
I will crush you.
that's what you want to do. No.
Well played.
This gets me more DPS by 1. Well played. Okay. Those were 2 kind of strange games, but I'll take it. Play 1 more.
Liadrin versus Jaina.
You asked for it. My blade burns with holy fire.
None of these are really good, so we'll send those back. Okay, so go ahead and save that. Nice thing about that is it doesn't trigger from a hero power, so I don't have to worry about that.
Reporting for duty.
This is one of the few decks where using your hero power to get a 1/1 isn't your best option, because I really have nothing that synergizes with recruit. A 1/1's not bad. I just really have nothing that synergizes with recruits in this deck. It's kind of rare, so.
The battle.
Like I said, I ran with the mech theme as much as I could with different decks, and then I started making like token Paladin decks after Goblins versus Gnomes. So. Well, I mean, that's good. My shield survived at least one more turn, so. Yeah.
Shields
Back
off.
down,
Red
back
alert.
down.
Reporting for duty.
We still have a couple turns before Flame Strike is a concern. A lot of mages have been running Blizzard in standard play. So I don't know that I want to do much more than this right now. This is gonna work well. Again, you know, it was just.
Battle. Reporting for duty.
Weapons ready.
I try not to play much more than maybe 3-4 when I know a board wipe might be possible. Just you definitely don't want to fill your board. Okay, I'm fine with that. Is this what I want to do? Or
Weapons ready.
The battle.
I haven't seen a polymorph, so maybe it would have been better to like buff this so with a flame strike it wouldn't have killed it, because that has a divine shield, that has a divine shield. We could have minimized our losses. I was going to say, I don't think she really has anything though, because she's not using a lot of removal. She's not really playing board control that much. She's just not really doing much of anything. So, see, this is why I said this is not really good mid-game like this, because, yeah, you've still got other things to go through with your turns, so. Okay, now I think we're just going to go ahead. Boom. Well played.
Well played.
Okay, well, there you go. Did feel a little bad because those 3 games the opponent didn't do much, but hey, what are you going to do? Sometimes that happens. So there you go, folks. That is my Mech-aladin deck. So not a bad little deck. You kind of got to see how it works. Mech decks are fairly simple. It's just a matter of drawing and playing things in the right order so they synergize, and it's effective. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching.